In the last part of our conversation, I wanted to focus on his time after retiring from the college. Although he retired, it became quite clear to me that Mr. Thorne didn't exactly slow down. He leaves words of wisdom to current and future employees of the college, and he reminisces on his distinguished career.
So the Houston Post in 1982, April of 1982, in the title it said that you were retiring, but you had plans to keep your options open. So why did you retire in the first place? Did you get tired of it? Was it just time? You had your
Well, I think that what I just said. I think that the college would do better under somebody else, because I could not, I did not, and I would not work with a labor union. I'm not going to do it. And that wasn't the primary factor, but that was one of them. I just, it was time for some new leadership, and so I bowed out. I had two job offers between the time I announced my resignation and the time I actually left. One of them was vice president of a bank, and the other one was to head the North Houston Association, which now is run by John Lindsay.
Did you accept either one of them?
I went to work for North Houston Association, which eventually led into my being picked as the first executive director of the Harris County Toll Road Authority.
So what is the North Houston Association? What do they do?
The North Houston Association is an organization of the major builders and developers in this area. The Woodlands Group, Friendswood Development, Champion Paper, Missouri Pacific Railroad, those folks at that level. The membership dues were $5,000 per year per company. So it's not a chamber of commerce that cuts ribbons and for the mom and pop stores. It's the really big movers and shakers. And so they asked me if I'd come help them organize it. Doug Leonard from the Woodlands and Tom Russo from Friendswood and Bill Farrell from Missouri Pacific Railroad came out to the office to talk to me before I actually left the college. Told me what they were going to organize North Houston Association. I never heard of it. I said, well, what do you mean? What do you do? They started telling me things, quality of life issues, roads and drainage and all that sort of stuff. And I said, you mean you pay people for doing that? I've been doing that on the sideline, but we'd like for you to come over and do it. So I went to work for them and worked a year. And during that year, Harris County approved a referendum to create the Toll Road Authority. And Judge Lindsay, of course, was county judge at the time. John Lindsay used to own a construction company, and he did a couple of school projects for me when I was at Aldine. And he and I had worked on some community projects together. And John called me after the toll road referendum was approved and said, hey, Thorne, I want to have lunch with you. And when the judge says, I want to have lunch with you, the answer is, yes, sir, what time, where? And so I met the judge, and we had lunch and made small talk for a little bit, and then he said, I want you to come over and organize this toll road authority we created. And I said, Judge, I'm not an engineer. I don't know anything about engineering. He said, I don't want an engineer. I can hire lots of engineers. I want somebody that has had some experience in putting together an organization. And so we chatted him in, and I said, that sounds like that would be fun, but I'm not going to operate toll booths. I'd like to be involved with design and engineering and the right-of-way and all that sort of stuff, but I'm not going to operate toll booths. He said, we'll trade that way. You come over and help me get started and do. So So I went to work for a toll road. Had a ball.
And that was your last
After that, I didn't take any more jobs.
So what year did you finally fully retire?
86 or 87, I'm not sure which. Don't remember. But we finished. The Hardy Toll Road was under budget and ahead of time on schedule. Never been done before. A project that size, to get it in under the budget and ahead of schedule.
What keeps you busy these days now that you're retired?
Pardon?
What keeps you busy these days?
Well, until my arthritis got so bad I couldn't do anything, I had a 36-foot twin diesel Grand Banks trawler down at Galveston that I spent the weekend on. And woodworking has always been my hobby. I built that gazebo in the backyard and built a workshop. I built some furniture, and I had a ball with woodworking. But I don't do much except read these days. I've got more histories of the United States Navy in World War II than most libraries have.
Looking back on your career, and you said something a minute ago that made me think, when you were being hired to be executive director of the Harris County Toll Road Authority, you mentioned that he told you that he needed someone with experience in putting things together and organizing things. So that's what you brought to Lone Star College, well, North Harris County College. That's what you brought to that position with the Toll Road Authority.
I like to think that that's true anyway.
Well, being superintendent of Aldine, that was bankrupt when you came along. That was experience, okay. And nowadays there's a stadium, to my understanding, and there are 2 streets named after you. There could be other things that I'm just not aware of. How does that make you feel, knowing that people have honored you in that way?
Just funny sometimes. I go to a shopping mall and hand some kid at Sears my credit card, and they look at that name on there and say, "How come you got the same name as our stadium?" Oh, it's a real honor. It really is. It's a real honor.
So given that, what do you see as your legacy?
Well, I'd like to think that as a public servant, I'm never lost sight of the fact that the funds did not belong to me or to the organization, but to the people. And that imposes some restrictions on how they're handled and what you do with them that would not be so if they were private funds. I used to get accused of rubbing all the hide off of a buffalo for one spinning nickel, but I don't think that's quite right.
And I'll ask this question and then I'll ask one more. For all the new employees who come to Lone Star College, who weren't there when it started, who aren't familiar with Mr. Thorne's story, what would you say to them about what is now Lone Star College?
The ones who are not familiar with the background, what would I say to them?
Yes, sir. Who aren't familiar with how it got started, anything like that.
I tell them I think you work for the best junior college system in this country. A lot of people worked awful hard to get it where it is, and you help take care of it.
Is there anything else that you would like to add? Anything else that you want anyone to know?
And, there was that part, and then there was another kind of landowner that up where Hardy Street ties back into the it's 45. You know, there's a big development on both sides of Hardy Street there. Belonged to a real estate developer out of Dallas, Lomas Nettleton. And I just knew who the property belonged to. We haven't got to the point where we need to try to negotiate right away with them yet. But I got a call from Dallas, from Lomas Nettleton's vice president, who knows if he'd come down and talk with me. And I figured he's going to come and raise his cane about me going to build road across his property. I don't have any choice. It's got to go that way. So I'm all braced for an argument, and he came down and he said, have you decided on the right of way where that road's going to go? And I said, yes, sir. And we need to talk to you about some right of way. He said, good. And I said, beg your pardon? Yeah, good. He said, how much you need? And I got the drawing answer, and he said, I'll donate it. My mouth dropped open because it's must be at least 20, 30 acres in that right of way across his property. He's going to donate it. And he didn't understand my hesitancy. And he said, and if you get on it right away, I'll donate $100,000 to cover engineering expenses. And I said, excuse me just a minute. So I went in the office and I called John Lindsay down at the courthouse. And I said, Judge, I got a representative of Lomas Nettleton here who wants to donate all the right away for Hardy Street across his property. And he's offered to donate $100,000 to cover engineering expenses. Can we accept the donation? He said in a New York minute. So I got a real education in the difference in the way people approach things when you're working with them. And it was a ball. I had fun. I really did. Well, I had fun as a school teacher. I had fun as an assistant principal. I had fun as a superintendent. I had fun when I was at the college. I had fun when I worked for. I've never had a job that I didn't enjoy doing. I've just been more fortunate than most people. I've been more fortunate than anybody has a right to express. Really, I've enjoyed it. It's been fun.
I'm glad to hear that.
Pardon?
I'm glad to hear that.
And that college is a high water mark in my career.
Yes, sir.
The toll road is second.
I wanted to show you this picture. Maybe you remember this.
Yeah, I think that's the girl that went to Rice. I'm not sure. Does it say?
Probably in the read in there, but that was the first graduate.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether she was the first one across the state. She was in the first class, but I think that's the girl that had already been accepted to Rice.
Yes, sir. The AS degree was conferred to one student, Marion Mae Wilson, who went on to graduate from Rice with a degree in science.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's her.
Yes, sir. Well, yes, we want to thank you for your time, Mr. Thorne.
You know, young men dream dreams and old men tell stories, and I've enjoyed telling stories.
We've enjoyed listening to those stories. Thank you for your time.
What an incredible story he has. I hope that you have enjoyed listening to my conversation with Mr. W. Thorne. The interview was sponsored by the Lone Star College Center for Local and Oral History. Thank you for listening to Civic Engagement Media.
They're meaningless 'cause they aren't you. They're meaningless 'cause they aren't